Welcome everyone to our 19th edition of the Icebreaker format. This time it's all about KYC, knowing your customer. And we're very excited to introduce you to 5 exciting startups again. My name is Florian Schreiber and I'm guiding you through today's session. I'm the moderator. And before we start with the startups here, we wanted to briefly also introduce the event host. This time it's just TechQuartier to you. And as you can see, our journey until today here, we started as a classic co-working space in the heart of Frankfurt in 2016. However, based on the needs of our stakeholders, we have developed more and more into a leading innovation broker. This means that we offer innovation projects and formats to a wide variety of stakeholders. And as you can see here, we have executed and delivered already some of the projects and programs with high executives and also with politicians. So this gives us a lot of reference already. And speaking of innovation brokerage or ecosystem builder, we still consider ourselves, or we still have a co-working space, and our community is core of our activities that we're doing on a daily basis. And as you can see here in this slide, around the core of our activities, there are several pillars on how we execute and deliver formats. On the one hand side, of course, there are branding formats, we have matching formats, we have incubation and acceleration formats for our community, as well as strategic initiatives and products such as the Safe BTC initiative, for example, which is part of the GAIA-X European data initiative, and the ecosystem mandate that we are also having since last year. And we're delivering those formats not alone, but with a wide variety of stakeholders. As I already told you, we have corporates on our side. There are more than 20 partners that are within our portfolio, as well as startups, investors, universities, but also public institutions and the Hessian government. Speaking of startups, as of February 2022, we have more than 500 startups or community members. And as you can see here in the graph, somehow the biggest name here disappeared. We are a fintech, or we started as a classic fintech hub. So 30% of our communities still are fintechs, but we're also shifting more and more to a green tech society, or a green tech community in this case. So more and more startups are also joining from that perspective. And as you can see here also in the numbers and in the KPIs, we have a significant growth rate in the last 12 months, and delivered a lot of introductions, not just between our partners and the corporates, but also between startups and investors. So if you would like to join our community, just feel free to reach out afterwards. As you can see here, also some notable members. We included them also in the slides. If you want to get in touch with some of them, feel free to reach out afterwards. Yeah, and startups. And when I'm talking about startup formats, one thing is for sure, this is our Icebreaker format, which is our monthly startup showcase. And basically the Icebreaker, just for those of you who have never participated in the format, the Icebreaker is a theme-based format, startup showcase, meaning 5 startups are pitching for 5 minutes. And then we are having a 5-minute Q&A session afterwards, after each startup. And our main goal is, of course, to not just attract potential customers, clients, investors, and other stakeholders to the teams, but also give them the visibility within the network and within the ecosystem. And as I already told you in the beginning, this session will be live streamed and recorded on YouTube. So if you want to rewatch or share this event with one of your colleagues or with one of your employees, feel free to share it afterwards. We are also super happy to publish what for the word over to my ego and Marius. Our next edition is about clean energy in the beginning of March. So if you are interested, I will also share the registration link afterwards, and then you can directly register for the next Icebreaker edition. So the 5 startups, you can see them here, but we start with my ego. As I said, Marius, are you there, and are you ready to grab the microphone?
Yes, I'm ready. Thanks for the introduction.
And feel free to share your screen.
Yes, I think you have to stop first and then I can share. Great. Let me see. Okay, quick check. I hope everybody can see the slides.
Yes, we can see.
Just have to put the people a little bit away. Okay, great. Yeah, welcome to the next iteration of personally identity management, powered by my ego. First, a small introduction. So my name is Marius, and I'm talking about, first of all, the problem about digital identity management, then going over to the solution of SSI, and then also how SSI is also implemented into my ego. Let's first start with the problem itself. I would like to explain the problem by giving you a small example. Let's say you want to register on a website. You all know those single sign-on solutions like sign on with Google, sign on with Facebook. And the moment you click on them or you hit the button, basically Google or Facebook or whatever is sharing the data to the website. So sharing your identity data. And that's the first issue because based on that, you're kind of like a little bit out of the loop. What data is actually shared between those providers and the website you're registering on. And the second issue is that basically all of your identity data are stored centrally at one of those places. So either on Facebook, Google, Apple, which might occur also in GDPR issues in the future, especially in Europe. And the third thing is that, let's say you're registered on a website where you want to register for a car sharing provider. You have to go through a verification process. It means that you probably have to show your driver license, go through that process. And as we have loads of different car sharing providers out there, the moment you go to another one, you have to go through a whole process again. That's not really smart, and it's also quite cost intense. So in short, the 3 issues here is that, let's go from the left to the right. We got you as a person with your credentials as the age, the address, the bank account. All your data are stored centrally at the verifier. And then let's say the car sharing provider in the mobility area, or maybe also the insurance company or the event you want to register, are requesting those credentials. And every time you switch either within the industry, so as in the example mentioned before, from one car sharing provider to another one, or also across the industries, you have to go through the whole verification process again and again. So you have kind of like unreusable assets. So what would be the solution here? The solution is SSI, so self-sovereign identity. What you can see here is the trust triangle, which is part of, let's say, the issuer, the holder, and the verifier. The issuer is the institution who gives the credentials, usually the government, can be also the vaccination center, can be the university. Then you got the holder. The holder is actually the person. So the holder who manages the credentials, you can share them, revoke them, and has the control about them. And then you got the verifier, an example before, that's a car sharing provider who's actually requesting the credentials to deliver the service. So the process, usually you go from the issuer who gives the credentials to the holder. The holder keeps them, manage them, and then can share them. Big point here is that the holder decides what kind of assets or credentials he wants to share and which he doesn't want to share. And the verifier uses them to actually verify the person. The big advantages here are that we put the holder back into the driver's seat, so he doesn't rely on third parties anymore. And it's all, let's say, in the control of the holder. So he manages who he wants to share the data with and also what kind of data he wants to share. In short, user identity is 100% back at the user, so not on a third party anymore. You got a one-click onboarding, which means that once your credentials are verified, you can use the certificate to share it with multiple verifiers. Means that when you want to go for first car sharing provider, you go for a second one, you can just share your credentials and don't have to go through the whole verification process again and again. And it also goes beyond the usual, let's say, KYC certificates. So let's say beyond the usual driver license or ID card. It also goes to university certificates. It goes to vaccination certificates, so stuff like that. How's all of that actually integrate into MyEgo? How's MyEgo working? We know the slide from before. Let's go again from the left to the right. On the left, we have again the person who has his credentials, the age, the address, the credit score. The big difference here is now everything is decentral data stored. So it's stored on the phone of the user, not anymore somewhere else, stored centrally. So it makes it way more secure. MyEgo is offering the certificates then to the partners, let's say the mobility providers and the examples from before, the car sharing provider. And the moment the person wants to verify himself, he just shares the certificate and and the mobility provider can use that. He wants to maybe register for an event. He can also use the data so he doesn't have to go through the whole verification process again and again. Big point here is as well that it's a seamless integration. So the customer doesn't have to leave the environment of the provider and can be in there or stay in there. From technical point of view, everything is stored in one wallet. So it's basically on the phone of the user. It's fully encrypted data, which makes it way more secure, especially for data security reasons. And it's easy to set up for new use cases, means that it goes beyond, let's say, just one car sharing provider or just one gym membership or one event. You can always add on more and more. I think the 5 minutes are over now. So that was a small pitch about that. If you have further questions, of course, you can use the now upcoming Q&A session, as well as contact me on my email address or hit me up there. And I'm happy to answer all of your questions then.
Yes, thank you very much, Marius. There is already a question in the chat. To my knowledge, you need something like a trusted provided Satsu to offer this. Is that included in your offering?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, for sure. To my knowledge, you need something like a trusted provided Satsu to offer this. Is that included in your offering?
A status, I think, probably.
Status.
Okay. Sure. What exactly do you mean? Maybe you can unmute and we can talk about it.
Yeah, Martin, hi. To my knowledge, you need something like a trusted provider to store identification and stuff like that. How is that solved? Or
okay, just you mean that you actually to first time create a certificate?
Sorry?
So usually, yes, of course, you still have the verification. So you still go through a post-ident verification process or something similar to that based on the verification level. So that's always the first step, of course. But then once it's verified, so once you went through the verification process, you have that certificate and then it can be shared. So it's still there, but it's only in the first place. So you don't have to do, and that's a big advantage, you don't have to do it again and again, just once.
Okay.
Any more questions? Yeah, there's one more coming in. How secure are credentials in mobile wallets?
As also mentioned before, it's decentralized, so it's not stored at MyEgo. It's also not stored at the verifier itself. So it's decentralized on the phone of the user, which makes it extremely secure because instead of, let's say, hacking one central station where the data is stored, you need to basically get the phone of the user to actually get the data. And there you have to go through the security levels of the phone. So in total, it's way more secure than, let's say, the common way of storing the data central.
Is it backed up somewhere? So you lose your phone, the phone breaks, etc.
That's indeed a very interesting question. So the moment maybe your phone got stolen or breaks up, that's also something we're also looking in at the moment because let's say if you store your data decentralized, then when your phone is gone, in terms of, let's say, it broke up or it got stolen, the phone is gone, the data is gone. Same with your ID card. Your D card is gone. Your D card is gone. But of course, we try to also find a solution here, but currently still looking into that. Yes.
I had one question about the business model. Basically, how do you guys make money?
Also, good question. We have basically the providers, or the partners. In the example I mentioned, let's say the car sharing provider, he always needs to pay for the verification. So if it goes to POSIDENT or other verification providers, and he still pays us, but instead of that the customer has to run through a verification process every time, we're just offering certificate. So this is how we make money.
Okay, thanks.
There's one final question in the chat from Frank Boberach. How long is the data valid when it has been stored once?
Generally speaking, unlimited. So once the data are verified, they are on the phone. But of course, it really depends on the partner. So let's say the higher we get in the verification levels, let's say the highest is the banks. Insurance are also quite high. They might say, I would like to have a certificate which is not older than 6 months. So if you get the certificate...
Ja, ist ja tatsächlich die Frage, was deine Motivation ist. Ob du sagst.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
No, it was a new joiner that wasn't on mute. So you can...
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Yeah, I don't know where I stopped, but it really depends, let's say, on the partner we are partnering up with. So some of them are saying, let's say, they want to have verification every 6 months. So if the certificate is older than 6 months, then you have to run, or the customer has to run through a new verification process. Sometimes it can be even longer, let's say, for a driver license, for a car sharing provider. So it really depends on the partner.
Right. Many thanks, Marius, for your pitch and also for providing the answers. I think we can also share your contact details afterwards with the participants if someone wants to reach out individually or has any further questions here. Because otherwise, I would move on to our second startup, Authentic. Judith, are you with us?
I am. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Judith. Are you already able to share your screen?
Yes, just 1 second. Do you all see my screen?
Yes, it's coming.
Okay, perfect. So hi, everyone. My name is Judith. I represent Authentic. I'm the Global Partnership Manager here. And at Authentic, we help companies to trust the identity of their users, and we guarantee the verification within 35 seconds or less from start to finish. A little bit about our company background. We have Icelandic roots. That's where we were founded, and partially by the European Innovation Council, but we are based in Germany. Berlin is our HQ. We won several awards that are listed here. For example, we were finalists at the European Commission Award for Seamless Personal Authentication in 2019. We were shortlisted as within the 30 best startups at Slush last year, and we are part of many communities. Hence, we are here today as well with you, and some well-known investors are behind us. Now, about the solution. So it's a fully automated AI-powered technology from start till finish. And that's why we are able to guarantee the verification within 35 seconds or even less. I will show it on the demo video. The solution is fully EU GDPR compliant, and we have the latest ISO 27001 certificate. So data protection and privacy is definitely key for us. The solution was built on privacy by design. We are able to onboard 1,000 users within a minute and 1.4 million people a day for a customer. We support documents from all over the world, so we can onboard any user from all 195 countries in the world, 50 plus territories, and read 139 languages. In terms of extra features, we can run AML screening for our customers to check criminal backgrounds, as well age verification. We can set up user access control, selfie sign-in, and customize the flow and set up multi-document support as well. So how the technology actually works. So the user through the app or the web-based solution scans his or her government issued photo ID, and then she takes a selfie or he takes a selfie. That's done on the user's end. What's happening in the background, we're running a liveness check. So we use liveness algorithms to determine that it's a genuine human being taking the selfie real time and not, for example, a photo which is being photographed. And we're also checking the ID document, whether it's authentic or not. We have different security layers. We read the MRZ and or barcode. We can even do the NFC chip scanning, etc. Step 3 is the identity verification. We use government-grade facial recognition to verify the user's identity by comparing the facial biometrics on the selfie and on the ID photo. And step 4 is when the process is accomplished. So we notify the user and we notify a customer. We send the customer the data. They can store it in their system, but at the same time, they have access to their verifications on their customer dashboard. Everything is happening real time, instantly. So in case, the user would need to repeat the flow because, for example, they took the selfie in a very dark room, they can do it instantly. They don't need to wait. So even if it happens 2 times, we're talking about a minute. And here I will play the video about the flow. So what the user go through. Provide a mobile SDK, which is fully white labeled. And then for web as well, we're going to have some customizable features coming up. So here the user selected a driver's license. For this demo purpose, it's a European Italian driver's license. Both sides are being scanned. We capture the data, we show it to the user. And then once he confirms, he takes the selfie. So we're running the liveness check in the background to make sure that it's a real person, real time. And then it's already complete. So that was done. So just a summary about why clients come to us. One reason is that everything is happening real time within 35 seconds or less. It's the fastest on the market, very scalable solution. We can onboard 1.4 million people a day. Conversation rate significantly increases compared to manual checks. We have a worldwide support for documents. It's fully automated, AI powered, and we offer a very seamless integration so it can be done within an hour. A couple of testimonials. Something that our clients appreciate the most is really the excellent user experience, and just a couple of logos of companies that we have or we are working with from different sectors. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Judith. Are there any questions from the audience? Yes, there's one. Martin, do you want to unmute yourself directly, or?
Sure. As you all know, OCR never works 100%. So how do you ensure the quality of the data? I'll give you an example. In the German passport, you have these stickers for your address, and OCR can't read that because the stamp of the town where the address is verified is normally overlaying the whatever street name or the town name. So how are you fixing that? Because in regulatory environments, you're not allowed to change your own data.
So honestly, we haven't had any issue with German passports in your example. So that's something that I have never came across. I could, obviously check with the tech team, but in terms of reading documents, I know that we accept and work well with even the old French driver's license, which some of you may know. It's a paper version, or also in Italy they use it. So normally it shouldn't be an issue. Obviously, if the user faces any issue, we have customer support, so they can get in touch with us, and we'll sort it out.
There are more questions flying in. What is the procedure for dealing with fraud attempts?
So in what sense? Like, what's the, just if whoever asked this question could elaborate. Like if someone is trying to onboard with a fake document or a template document, well, then obviously, like it's not going to go through. So we have different security layers. So we run the documents against the database of template documents. So that would come out. We read the MRZ and or barcode. We can do the NFC chip scanning for passports. We're checking all visual aspects of the documents, font size, etc., expiry date. So it's extremely difficult to trick the system with a fake document or with a yeah.
There's a question about the product. What kind of integrations are you providing? Maybe can you give some examples here?
So integration, so we provide mobile SDK. Also, we have web-based solution. We have our own API. The integration is, what we hear from clients, that for an experienced developer doesn't take more than half an hour, 1 hour. I'm happy to share the API documentation, and that can be, yeah, with existing products. I see the question. So that's something that I would get back to Lucas, but we would be able to easily integrate with existing products like SAP.
There was one more specific question about Chinese residents with Chinese ID cards or passports according to German banking KYC regulation requirements.
Yes, so I see that if we have customers in Germany for financial institutions, so we are not able to support the financial sector in Germany because of the requirement of video calls. That is not part of our offering, since the beauty of it that it's fully automated. So we couldn't cater to. You probably heard that the law changed in Austria and in Switzerland recently. So within the DACH region, those two countries can be already covered, and we're compliant with them. So hopefully some new regulations will come to Germany as well in the close future. But at the moment, we cannot cater to the financial sector due to that requirement of video calls. A little bit about pricing. I see the next question. So it's pretty straightforward in terms of our pricing. Customers pay per verification. The offer and the proposal is put together based on the volume. So our bigger customers that have higher volumes have better rates, obviously, and no subscription fee. But when it comes to startups or companies that just want to try it out and use it for a short term, they can even sign up for only a couple of months and then move on. We have some use cases where a client only needs to the onboarding for a short period after their launch.
I see there is a lot of interest in your solution, Judith. Maybe we can also share your contact details afterwards so people can directly reach out to you. And
absolutely.
Yeah, because then we would move on to the third startup, Kundo Technology. Jan, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, Florian. So hello to the round. Pleasure to be here and introducing Kundo solution to you. Give me just a second. I will share my screen. So hopefully you can see that. Few words from my side. My name is Jan Rudolf Göttmann. I'm the COO of Kundo Technology. We are a Frankfurt and Berlin-based fintech/regtech and providing financial solutions as well as a comprehensive KYC and onboarding platform. So let me quickly jump into the slides to introduce you a little bit more on our solutions. So Kundo in a nutshell, as I said, we provide a very comprehensive KYC and onboarding platform where we would like to combine, on the one hand, a very lean and straightforward mobile application process with state-of-the-art artificial intelligence algorithms, obviously, and also a 4i verification, meaning that our trained staff is, in case it's needed, clean up data. So with that said, the advantage for our customer obviously is they will benefit from a very short process with under 3 minutes. It's not the 30 seconds from Authentic, but I think we have a few more steps I will introduce later on. But again, it depends on the product. I will show you later on. Will be way less in terms of time. Also, we are 24/7 available, and you can use our application throughout the world. And on the other hand, we have an advantage, or we have a huge advantage for our partners, for our clients, as we say, partners. They will benefit from a significant increase of conversion rate on the one hand, and on the other hand, Kundo claims to have the most secure software and solution in terms of KYC on the market. So that means our partners will then benefit from a very high level of security on the one hand, and on the other hand, we provide at least 99% data quality. So that means data being sent to our partner can directly be forwarded or incorporated into the, for example, CRM system on the partner side without any manual effort. The process itself, I think it's very straightforward. We saw it already a little bit on Authentic side. First, our partner is showing to their end customer a QR code. The end customer then has to download our app. This will be available for iOS as well as for Android. So he scans the QR code and then he just has to perform 4 steps to happiness, as we say. So first of all, he has to record front and backside, obviously. And then we are performing a so-called liveness check. There we ensure that the card, the ID card, as well as the person who's trying to legitimate is present at the same step. We do so by tapping on various ankles on the ID card with his fingers. Next step would obviously be the hologram detection, hologram video, and last but not least, we are retrieving facial, so biometric data, facial data, in order to compare the face matching, and then doing a so-called liveness check in order to ensure that the one who's trying to legitimate is still alive. So it's not a picture or something that is sold into the camera. That's it. As I said before, we claim to have 2 USPs. So the one is we think that we have the most secure solution on the market. So we are checking for literally everything that can be checked. So for example, all card securities such as holograms, we're checking for guilloche, which is the pattern in the background. We are also checking for EC logos, so literally everything. We're also checking for biometrical security, as I said before. So we're checking for the facial matching. We're checking for a so-called 3D liveness check, that everything that the one who's trying to legitimate is alive. We are doing card plausibility checks based on the MRZ. We are also checking for the address that is presented on the card, if it's still valid. And also, obviously, we have technical measurements in place, such as jailbreak detection. On the other hand, we are ensuring 99% of data quality, which means, again, every data that's being sent to our partners can directly be incorporated in their CRM system without any manual effort on their side. So I told you we have a wide range of products. So the first product obviously is OCR. We can retrieve information from cards for literally every document. So it doesn't matter if it's ID card, travel documents, driver's license, everything. The other product is we call it a smart photo ident, which will be where we address the not regulated market, such as healthcare, education, travel, e-commerce, all those areas which are not regulated under, for example, BaFin in Germany. Next to the smart photo ident, we also provide smart multi-doc ident. So that means you can record and retrieve data from multiple documents. For example, if you are a mobility provider and you would like to, or you need to have on the one hand, an ID document, and on the other hand, a driver's license, we can do so. We would retrieve any information, we will clean up if necessary, and then you will have every document presented to your end. And last but not least, we also provide, as we call the smart video ident, which will be the anti-money laundering solution in order to address the regulated market, such as banking. Okay, and last but not least, we are also GDPR compliant. We have a certificate of TÜV, and we are fulfilling every EU GDPR regulatory or requirements. And also we are on a regular basis training our employees in terms of data privacy and cybersecurity. All right, hopefully I did not exceed my 5 minutes. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah, please feel free to ask.
Many thanks also from my side, Jan, here. There's already questions coming in again. Do you have your own call centers for the smart video identity?
It's not a call center. We do not provide call agents, but what we have is a service center. That means we have trained staff here that is checking and clean up, if necessary, on a transaction level, each verification, so to say, in order to ensure this 99%, at least 99% data quality.
Then there is again a question about, are you able to identify Chinese residents with Chinese ID cards or passports according to German banking KYC regulation requirements?
Yeah, so we are checking already Chinese passports and ID documents, yes, but as said before, it's not allowed currently to do so for the regulated market due to requirements, or let's say there is no regulator basis to do so. But yes, we could check for Chinese passports or Chinese ID documents, definitely.
Another question from the chat. What will happen when the ID document itself is quantified, like duplicate driver's license?
Duplicate, you mean if it's a fraud attack?
Shubo, you want to unmute yourself and clarify?
Yeah, I mean, if the document itself is, I mean, not procured in the legal way, it is done in a wrong way.
You mean if the one who, if the customer is like performing the wrong process, so to speak? Is that your question? So for example,
the document is not valid, I mean.
The document is not valid. So then we would present our partner. So that's a very good question. We do not have a kind of a resend process, so to speak. It's not a queue, right? So we ensure that the process we are providing, it's very straightforward and it's very user-friendly. So we have animations, we have speech guidance. So therefore, as per our perspective, the process itself is very user-friendly and can be done quickly. So, and if we detect in our backend that some customer has wrongly or false, scanned an ID card, and obviously it's a fraud attack, then will be rejected and then will be presented to our partner. We do not have, and this is very important, we will not have any communication to the end client. This is one of our internal governance.
Next question from Carsten Jahn. Are you BaFin-conform or Geldwäschegesetz?
Yeah, that is, if you would ask me, I would say yes. The point here is we have talked to a couple of representatives from different Behörden, even it's BSI, BMI, BaFin, whatever. There is one thing, but I put the other way around. There is this document from 2017 for video calls. They are saying you need to have at least a one-to-one or face-to-face conversation with the end client. We do not provide that, and this is the reason why it's currently not BaFin compliant. But there is currently, as far as I know, there's kind of a task force preparing such documentation in order to, granting such products also for the regulated market. So until then, we are able to provide this solution also for the regulated market for banks, and it's BaFin or it's GWG compliant. On the other hand, we are obtaining currently a license from from Bundesnetzagentur in order to provide our module, our verification module for qualified electronic signature. This will be done roughly in May.
Right. Yeah, I see there is also a lot of interest in your solution here, Jan. So maybe we can also forward your details here so that the people again can clarify their needs with you together. But looking at the time, I would move on to our next startup, and I'm super happy that we are also having ID Now as one of our presenters today. So Björn, if you're with us, then also feel free to grab the mic and take the stage.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the, first of all, thank you for the invite. I will join, share my screen. My computer lets me. Yes. Okay. So, first of all, as again, thank you for the invitation. I really like a kind of format like this also gives me the ability to maybe not show my run-of-the-mill slides that I'm kind of showing every day, but to do something different. So, hope it's not too casual for you guys, but I decided why not just try to explain ID Now, try to explain what we do only with emojis. And this is what I'm going to do in the next five minutes. So hello to my presentation. I'm Björn. I'm from ID Now, and today I will talk about kind of the newest trends when it comes to customer onboarding in Germany. So when it comes to BaFin compliant customer onboarding, and it's actually great that I'm coming forth because we some of the questions touched already upon it. Also, what can you do right now? Is video ident still really the go-to procedure when it comes to BaFin compliant identification methods? And I'm really happy to say that it is not really anymore the case. So obviously we once on the one side we have the NFC-based EID technology. So where you if you have your 6-digit PIN, you can hold your ID card to your phone. It will then be read out. So this is already a thing right now that we're supporting for a couple of years. But since last year, we are also providing a fully automated solution that is BaFin compliant, so you can onboard your customers without the need to actually involve a human agent in the process that leads through it. So yeah, as I said, that is completely automated, completely robotic, customer facing. There are some. It is actually required that there is some human interaction after the ident. So the customer does everything completely automated. Then a human is required to basically give their approval of the whole ident. So this comes, but this is already when the customer has left the ident process. And yeah, as I said, while this was so far, automated processes were only really only available for the mobility and for the travel sector, or for more international finance and banking use cases. You can do this now also for German banking. So as I said, so far it was only video ident, and it kind of works similar to the video ident. So what video ident required you to do, so checking, is the ID card valid? Are the information on there? Do they fit to what the customer communicated? Is the person on the ID card the person in the call? Do we have the required security features? This will all still be done, but as I said, it will not be done by a human, but an AI will do it, and there will only be a human kind of back office proof at the end of it. However, to make that BaFin compliant, you need a bit more to do that. So on the one hand, you need to combine the whole process with a QES. So once the ident is finished, we contact one of our trust service providers. They then equip us with a certificate. And after that, also the customer will have to log into an existing German bank account and then conduct a penny transfer that we will, of course, immediately retransfer to the customer, and all that then constitutes the BaFin compliant process. All you need is an ID card passport. So currently there is about 100 countries worldwide that accept or that have a BaFin compliant ID document. And I know the question already came twice, I believe, so I'm going to answer that here. Yes, we can do Chinese passports. So they are, so not just the Chinese one, but also the variants of Hong Kong, of Taiwan, of Macau. They are BaFin compliant, and we can, as of now, check them in video ident. We can check them also in the auto ID, GWG auto ID, auto ident AML, as we call it. And as I already said, what else do you need? You need a German bank account to do it, which I think most of the people that would require such a process should have it. Yes, I guess the question is it legal? Is it compliant? Yes, it is in line with BaFin requirements. Anyone who needs a bit more information on how that works, how exactly we are managing to be compliant, happy to send stuff out later. It is EIDAS compliant. Same goes for that. And just to round it off at the end, the process can be done, or is usually done within 2 minutes. It can lead to noticeably higher conversion rates. And also, what's I think most important is that while video ident is kind of always limited by the languages that agents can speak, you don't have that with the auto ident. So we have already more than 30 languages available for the app language. If it can be Russian, it can be Chinese, it can be Serbian. So really any of the most common global languages we covered, so you don't have that language barrier that you used to have with video ident. If somebody only spoke Chinese or Turkish, where they couldn't really do the process. And also, as you can imagine, if there's no humans, if there's not as much human interaction involved, it's also a bit more. Let's say the price point is a bit nicer than video ident. I think this is always something good to look forward to. If you have any questions, please just raise your hand now or shoot me an email afterwards or just jump on a call with me. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And as I said, whoever found that too casual, I have a bunch of very, very boring but very informative handouts that I can give you about legal compliance, that I can give you about technical specifications that I'm just happy to share after the presentation or just later. Cool. That's it.
Many thanks, Björn. And I see there's at least a lot of interest already in your pitching style here. So
Thank you.
Thanks for the refreshing pitch here. I think there's a question, Frank. Can you maybe specify on the Chinese question here again?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, it's just same question as before. I was just wondering if the Chinese guys are living on the mainland in China, so they are doing this video identification. Are your agents being able to speak Chinese and guide them through the process? And is this really financial compliant to German regulation then?
Yeah, your first question, no, we do not have Chinese speaking agents, but for these cases, then yeah, I give you that would be a problem, because for the auto ident to work, you would need to have a German bank account. So yes, if a Chinese citizen living in China has a German bank account, that is fine. We could onboard them via in Chinese language, so we can display the app in Chinese. They could do that, but when it comes to video ident, we support the language we support in video ident is English, German, Spanish, Italian, and French. Anything else would not be possible. But my assumption would be that probably the demographic that would do such an ident from Chinese mainland is probably quite good in English. So if they are fine with doing the ident in English, we could do that. Or if they have a German bank account, we could do the auto ident. But yeah, that is the ways we could do it.
There's also a question about the process, because I think Claire was wondering if the process only starts, or from start to finish only takes 2 minutes without human intervention.
Yes, yes, it does. because the checking of the facial, so the checking of the document, of the biometrics, of the liveness detection, security features, this takes about 30 seconds. Then they need to log into their bank accounts. Sorry, this takes about 1.5 minutes, and they need to log into their bank accounts, which takes another 30 seconds approximately. Then the customer can hang up or close the app, and then an agent of ours will review the results that have been transmitted. That is usually done within an hour, but it's not waiting time for the customer. So the customer can hang up, and then within an hour, we will provide the final results to the bank or to the financial institution, and then the onboarding is closed. So yes, for the customer, the interaction time for the customer is 2 minutes or less.
Maybe then a follow-up question on this. How does the automatic match ratio without human interaction look like?
Good question, and one that is I cannot give a real good answer because it always depends, because we are working with machine learning. So I would say if you're using a German passport or a German ID card, probably or very likely about 90% that would go through without any assistance. If you come in with an ID card from, I don't know, from Portugal, maybe, that our system doesn't know as well, probably a bit lower, probably around 70 to 80%. But at least for the BaFin compliant process, it does not really matter because the manual review is required by the legislator anyway. So if our AI reads everything out perfectly, or if it rather reads it out poorly, it doesn't matter because there's always needs to be an agent that needs to make the final decision in the background. But when you talk about, because we have auto-land solutions that are not targeted at the BaFin compliance sector, that can go without a manual review. For these, I would say German idents go through 90% of the time without manual assistance. The other one's about 70 to 80%.
Maybe one last question before we move on to the last startup. In case I would like to identify myself from outside Europe, how does the 1 cent process work?
If your bank allows you to log into your bank account from outside of Europe, that's fine. I mean, we do not monitor where you are when you do the ident. This is none of our business. We do not track that. So if you can use the app from the country you're in, if your bank allows you to access online banking, which I'm not aware that a bank would block that, then that's absolutely no problem. But we actively do not put any restrictions on the location.
But that, Martin again, but that only works if you are part of European Union, right? If you're US resident, you can't use that because that's not including in SEPA. And I understood the 1 cent process only works within the SEPA area.
Yes, that is true. So if you don't have a German bank account, then you can still use video ident. This is also maybe important to explain. We do not believe that auto ident GWG will be the future now. We know that it's not accessible for people that do not have a German bank account. We know many people like the assistance of a video ident, and we also know people might not be happy to share bank details all of the time. So this is a plus for the people that are fine with that, for especially a younger demographic that does not really want to talk at 9 o'clock in the evening with an agent. That's a really good solution. But if you do not match the criteria, we have eID, we have video ident. So we see it as like a product suite, a product portfolio, that in the end, whatever your circumstances are, there will be something that you can use successfully.
I agree. Good.
All right. Yeah, then let's move on to our final question. Again, we will also forward your contact details here in case anyone out individually. Oliver from Blockchain Helix is our final startup. Oliver, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. So happy to share what we have. Let me share my screen. Hope you see it. I'm not doing emoji presentation. Was a nice one. Yeah. Congratulations on this. So what we're doing Helix ID. We're sitting here as Blockchain Helix in the center of Frankfurt. And what we're doing is mainly to give European citizens an ability to manage and protect their digital life. And what it actually is in between a person and a company, to give a certain trust level in between them and deliver the verification processes to those different services in order to give the ability for trusting people and companies through verified digital identities, right? So on the one hand, we always have the person that, of course, you need to know that person are who they say they are, called KYC. And on the other side, of course, you have Helix ID trusted partners, because people buy from companies they trust. So it's always this balance out in between a person and a company. Yeah, and the digital onboarding is, in our end, a super easy and secure process, because what we're doing in a nutshell is we're giving a perfect proof of different level of assurance on the one side. And of course, what we're doing, and Maiko Togo showed this before, we're one of those SSI or smart ID wallets. So of course, we have instant onboarding with pre-verified customers. What is, of course, something that we do a bit different here is, this is a smart ID wallet, we're really giving back control to users. Yeah, data sovereignty for users. This is one of the key factors from the European Commission as well. Is one of the key technology future needs. And of course, what we're doing here with the technology underneath it, we're connecting with new standards and giving the ability for interoperability in between enterprises and customers. And because, of course, this anyhow need to connect. So to give you an idea from the workflow that we have, if there is a customer, even if they're coming from our marketplace or if they're coming from an outside source, they want to get any kind of service as a business process that needs some kind of KYC or verification check. So on the first hand, we see if this user already exists in Helix ID. If it exists, then of course we need to check if the level of assurance fits with what this business process actually needs. And with this, we have a smart selector based on different criteria like regions, like ID documents, like AML checks or regulatory compliance. So we have different identity verification providers, like the ones that we already have on the call. We're using a couple of others as well to see which is the best fit on the one side from the compliance, on the other side as well, of course, from the commercial aspect. And then underneath it, we have a connector API and a data mapping. So on the one side, we can deliver those information to the corporate that actually is requesting those KYC data. And on the other side, give the user the ability to store those data that is going through this whole flow and to give them a verifiable credential, what is called in our world, with this KYC data, so that they can use it beforehand for future use. Yeah. And so in a nutshell, what we see here, we have different decentralized identifiers for all those different parties here, because we believe in this separation of duty when it comes to risk mitigation as well. So even the identity verification providers, they have a DIT in our platform for all their different processes, so that we can, of course, always have a certain audit checks, and we have the ability to extend their value chain when it comes to future checks within their verification data that we're getting from them. So we see the KYC providers as partners of ours. On the other side, each corporate that needs those data even need to have a DIT in our system. This is something that is, I think, super crucial when it comes to trusted environments. And so that in the end, the user can have a convenient and a very secure way to use this smart ID wallet with trusted services, happy and verified users from a new innovative market, the network of trust for a successful digital economy. If you have any question to this, just get in touch with us, download the app, try it out. I'm super happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Oliver. And again, I see a lot of questions already flying in. What kind of audit checks are you doing?
Audit checks? Yeah, so first of all, I mean, blockchain technology itself is, of course, a perfect fit when it comes to auditing certain parts, because those information, we're not storing any data on the blockchain, but we're storing these different timestamps regarding the processes on the blockchain. So that's why we can easily get those things within the audit trail to future exploration of any kind of check there. I don't know if it answered the question here, but yeah. Otherwise, please unmute.
Then there is a question about the target group. Which kind of corporate clients do you address currently?
That's a really good question. So first of all, we're not targeting at the moment this whole GWG compliant banking sector as such, because technology that we're using is, of course, quite new. And of course, when it comes to BaFin compliance as well, recheck, so to say, that came from a different source is something that BaFin is not yet with. But on the other side, what we see as a huge benefit is telecommunication, e-commerce, mobility sector, all of those, and even insurance companies is quite interesting, because this is doable as well. So all of those, and the other part is those elements that comes into this crypto sector as well, when it comes to checking certain verification checks for exchanges, or even for the NFT market is something that we're exploring as well.
I think on this is also a follow-up question. Imagine if I am a corporate customer, how do I know if you're a trusted issuer?
I mean, first of all, what we have here, all of those that are within our ecosystem are always trusted. So we're doing know your business processes for those that are actually working with us as the corporate side. Each of those different identity verification providers have a different DIT for all their processes. So this is all trusted. Yeah. And in the future, as this whole thing evolves, there is something called EPSI. So it's a European blockchain service infrastructure that we will get an additional registry on top of it. We're right now providing this registry on our own right now, but we will connect this to such a authority level as well, so that then you can have a level of assurance based on a certain registry that you can look up. And this is based on what is called a proof request on our world.
Maybe one last final question before we close the round. Anyone from the audience? If not, at first, of course, big thank you to also to you, Oliver, again for providing the pitch and the insights here, and also, of course, to the audience. I mean, this was super cool that we had such an interactive group today. We will also share the feedback link with you within a second. Hugo, can you share the feedback form? And afterwards. Just one simple question, please. In case you want to answer, please also let us know about your feedback about the event itself. We will also share, as I said before, we will also share the YouTube link afterwards, so you can rewatch or share it with your audience. And yeah, big thank you to all of you who took part in today's session. And yeah, if you want to stay in touch with one of the startups, we will also, as I said before, share the contact details here. All right, then I would close the round. Big shout out to the startups and of course also to the group, and see you hopefully all at the next Icebreaker, beginning of March, clean energy, and stay tuned if you want to rewatch.
Thank you, Florian.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.